Hello guys and welcome to another amazing episode on our 10 days hackathon project series. Alright, and in today's project we are actually going to be looking at one amazing project titled the Animal Shelter Business Case Analysis Project. Alright, and so in this project we are looking at animal shelter. Alright, the intake of animals, alright, in our shelters. Alright, whether the animals were sick, whether they were healthy, whether there was something going on wrong with them. That is why the company decided, or these companies decided, to take them in to cater for them. All right, and whether some of the animals died upon sheltering, or they were all catered for properly before subsequently leaving them to go. All right, and so in this project, we are going to be sitting in as a data or business analyst. That is you and I watching this, all right, for this urban animal shelter, okay, that is responsible for rescuing, housing, treating, and rehoming these animals. And these animals include dogs, we have cats, we have wildlife. I think there are about 10 different animal types in this particular project, all right. And so the shelter operates with limited kennel space, all right, staff, and medical resources, making operational efficiency very, very critical. All right. And so this is a business problem. We have the business problem over here. That is, the shelter leadership lacks clear visibility into the intake trends and seasonal surges, adoption and survival performance, animals staying too long, that is the LOS bottlenecks, the kennel capacity utilization, etc. All right. So this is our business case. All right, and the business problem that this particular company is looking at. All right, in order to rectify the problem that is facing. Okay, and so we come here to the business relevant questions for management. And now, after looking at this entire project, I decided to group the project into three different categories. And so, if we open our project, now this should be the final outcome of our project. All right. Okay, and so we have the animal shelter entry. So this is the overview, the opening page. All right, this is the opening page, and I'll show you how I did all of this. All right, I'll take you through a step-by-step guide on how all of this is done. All right, so this is the opening page, and you can see we have some items here. So these items are basically page navigations. All right, so that if I want to go to the length of stay, I can just right click on this, and it will take me to the page for the length of stay. All right, if I want to go back, I simply need to hold and click on this, and that takes me back. And so these are page navigation, and this is the overview or the opening page. All right, and then we have three different pages. We have the intake page, which is this. All right, which is all about the intake summary. All right, or the intake overview. Okay, so this is all about intakes. How many animals came in, the animal types, the animal in the intake conditions, all right, the trend, all of that. So it's all about the intake conditions of the animals, all right. Then we have the outcome summary, and so after the intake, after everything, what is the outcome? All right, what is the outcome? All right, did some animals die? Were they transferred, and all of that? So this is the outcome summary, all right. And then we have the length of stay, all right. So how long some of these animals stayed with the company, okay, stayed in these shelters, all right. So these are the three different summary pages that I came to conclusion to, all right, that I was going to be opening and then providing visualizations on. Okay, so you can see that. And so the business relevant questions for the intake dashboards, I have them here, all right. So we are looking at the total number of animals brought in and all of that. And then when we come here, we are looking at the outcome dashboard questions, all right. So I've tried to separate them for you so that you can follow along rather than mix everything up to confuse you, all right. So I've separated them, all right. And so the data set for this project is down in the description box below, alongside the design backgrounds, all right, in this business case study. So if you want, you can go down below in the description box and download them, all right, and follow along as I take you through this amazing project, all right. Now, before we even continue, I just want to let you know that, hey, I have a coaching session, all right. And so if you want a coaching session with me, you are also allowed to book a coaching session, all right. And I'll take you through everything that you need to know in Power BI, Excel, SQL, all right, to become a good data analyst, all right. And so if you're a complete beginner, you don't know where to start, hey, I'll urge you to hit on the link in the resource data set link down below, all right. I also have an ebook on anyone that wants to get good with Power BI, all right, it's a complete ebook for complete beginners in Power BI. So if you want to check that out, you can also just go in the description box below. The link is in there, and then check it out. All right. And so without much ado, let's jump right into this project. All right, so over here we have our data set for this particular project. So you can see it right over here is called the animal shelter operations project. All right, so this is the data set that we've imported into Power BI Power Query Editor. All right, now before we were doing just a little bit of data cleaning over here, removing some columns and doing some cleaning transformation before we further send it into our report view to start answering the business related questions. All right, and so this is our data set, and you can see from here we have everything. Okay, we have everything all the way to was outcome alive. All right, so what I'm going to do is that at first glance, I don't like how this column, the items in this column are, are shown. All right, what is with this asterisk and all of that? Okay, and so what I'm going to do is that, or what I did was that I just came right here, going to replace value because I want to remove all the asterisks. All right, from the entire list. Okay, so I'm going to go to replace value and then put this here, and I'm replacing it with nothing, so that if I click on OK, now you can see that all our asterisks are no more. All right, so that we don't have all of the asterisks. Now with the now values, let's see. Normally I don't like to have blanks in my analysis. All right, unless it's really critical or unless I'm asked to leave it. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the empty spaces. All right, all the empty spaces. And so to do that, just click on this arrow, and then because they are blanks, I'm just going to go to remove empty. All right, to remove all the empty cells. Okay, so that I have this. Now what we can also do is that with the nows, we can see that we have nows. That means there's no item in there. So what we can simply do is that we can just change the nows to unknown animal. All right, so we can just right click this again, come to replace value, and then the nows are in capital letters, don't forget. So nows, now I'm going to say unknown animals. All right, and then I'm going to do this so that now all the nouns are changed to unknown animals because they are nouns, we don't know them, so we need to change them to something that makes a little bit of sense. All right, or a lot of sense. Okay, all right, now the animal type, everything seems okay. You can see there are no errors in here. The primary color also seems okay. Secondary color also, we have some null values. So what we can simply do is that we can just go in here and then change the nouns. So replace value, and I'll say now to unknown color. All right, so now it's unknown color. All right, so that we can just take off the nouns, and you can see the secondary colors also have some empty. So like I said, I don't like, so I'm just going to remove. But if you use a remove empty, it's going to remove the entire row, the items in the entire row. I'm fine with that. That is why I'm doing that. And like I said, if it's really important, you don't touch on them. All right, if it's a practice test, you can use the remove empty to try your hands, but in the real life settings, on the real business case, don't just go removing empty cells or removing blanks. No, don't just go doing that. All right, find out if your boss has something to fill those cells with. All right, or if there's a way to go about it. All right, ask questions. All right, the work of a business or data analyst, one of it is to ask questions. So ask questions as to what you're supposed to do with those particular columns. All right, before you go in there and then try doing anything. All right, okay. Then we have the sex, which is fine. We have date of birth. I don't think I'll be in the date of birth column, so I'll be taking this out. All right, so I'm taking that out. Date of birth, I don't think I'll. Intake date, I'm pretty sure I'll be using that. And then we have the intake subtype. Intake subtype, and again, what I can do is I can just remove the empty. Like I said, it's important to verify before removing empty if you are working on the real business case. All right, don't just go in there and remove empty. You need to be sure to ask questions. All right, but since this is a project, that is why I'm just removing empty, because like I said, I personally don't like having blank spaces in my analysis. All right, and so in my work as a data analyst, whenever there are blanks, I do want to ask and then see if I can fill those blank spaces with something. All right. Okay. So that's a one and all. All right. Then we are going to come here. Reason for intake. Reason for intake. I don't know if you are going to use this, but let's leave it there for now. All right. Then we are going to leave the outcome date, then the crossing, jurisdiction, outcome type. Let's see, outcome type. Blanks. I think let's leave the remaining blank for now. Um, let's leave the remaining blank for now. Okay. All right. If they need be for us to remove them, we can easily just come back and remove them. So then I have this, and I think this is okay. All right, I think my data set now is fine for me. So let's just quickly go in, import that into the report view, and then probably start doing some analysis. All right, so I'll just go ahead and click on close and apply, and then close and apply, and then I'm going to have my data set in here. So first of all, it's going to load. Yeah, so it's going to load, and I'm going to have my data set pop up right over here, my clean data set, or how the data set that I've just cleaned, how I want it to be. All right. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, kind of. So the data sets that I want to have, I have that here. All right. So now I have my data set and I have all of my columns. All right. And so this is where we are going to begin our work proper. All right. So yeah, let's jump in. So all right, now we have our data set and we have everything in here, and now we are ready to go. So the first thing that normally I like to do is I like to get my my dashboard designs into Power BI. Okay, and so if you look right here, I already created my PowerPoint designs. All right, that's my Power BI designs. All right, excuse me, already in PowerPoint. All right, so this is going to be my overview, okay, on my opening page. So I created all of this in PowerPoint. All right, so my opening page, and then I have my intake overview page. All right, and then I have my outcome summary page, and then you can see now I have my length of stay or LOS page. All right, so I have all of this already in PowerPoint, or I have them created already in PowerPoint. Now I've already gone through how to do this. All right, and so if you don't know how to create your own designs in PowerPoint, I have a video on this. Be sure to check that out. All right, to help you know how to do this. Okay, so without much ado, I'll be going right in there to bring in my designs into Power BI. And so what I'm going to do for my overview on my starting page, I'm just going to go right here, go to canvas background. I'm going to go to browse. All right, and I'm going to go to select. I'm going to go and then select my so I have it in here, animal shelter design. No, I don't. That doesn't. So I have it here. Pretty sure. So my slide one. So I'm going to select it. So you need to know where your designs are after you've created them. All right. So that was me fumbling a little bit, but that's fine. So this is my first page, and this is going to be the overview or the opening page. All right. So I have my opening page now. Okay. So what the second thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to go in there once again and pick my second slide. All right. So this is my second slide. This is my intake. Okay, my intake. So I'm going to say intake overview. Intake overview. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the third one. So I'm going to click on new page. Go right here, slide 3. All right. And I'm going to reduce the transparency to be able to see this. And I'm going to say outcome summary. Outcome summary. And then for the final page, that is going to be my LOS. All right, or my length of stay page. Okay. And I'm going to do this so that I can have my LOS page, and then voila, now we have our dashboards designed already in PowerPoint transferred into Power BI. Okay, so I have my opening page, I have my intake overview page, I have my outcome summary page, and I have my LOS page on my length of stay page. All right, so now that I have this, the next thing that I want to do is I want to get my navigations, all right, symbols all over here. All right, so I'm going to go and do that. All right, now the navigation symbols are just this. All right, these things right over here. so that when I click on this, it takes me to intake page straight, or I click on this, take me here straight, or I click on it, takes me here straight. All right. So that is simply what we are going to be doing. All right. And so with that, you can represent your pages with any image at all, any picture at all. All right. It depends on you. Like I've said, I've made a video on that as well. Page navigations. You can check that video out as well to understand exactly what is going on here. All right. And so once I have that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to insert and bring in my images. All right. So my first image that I'm going to be bringing is going to be this. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm bringing my intake. All right, so I have this right there. So I'll go ahead and bring the other ones. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the other one. So that's my intake, and this is going to be outcome. Excuse me. This is my outcome. All right, and the last I'm going to take is going to be my LOS. All right, so LOS. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to come right down here, and I'm going to select my LOS. All right, and then open, and that is my LOS. Okay, so once I'm done with this, I can just make them, resize them a little bit, and I'm going to bring down this down here. Okay, resize this as well, just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to bring the final one, and I'm going to resize that a little bit as well. Good. So now I have all of my items right in here. Let's bring this down a little. Bring this down here a little bit. This is to look good. Alright. So now that I've done this, I'm going to give them actions. Alright. So this one, I'm going to say, I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to say, once I click on this, I right click on this, since it's page navigation, I'm going to select page navigation and say, this should take me to intake summary. Alright. Then I'll go to this one and again give this also an action, and this is also page navigation. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to say this should be my outcome summary. And then finally this, I'm also going to give an action, page navigation, and I'm going to say this should be my LOS page. Alright, and so what is going to happen is that if I'm to just control click on this, you take me to my outcome summary. So you can see it like so. Alright, and I can go back here, and if I'm to click on this, control click, is going to take me to my LOS page. Alright, so that is that for this. So now I'm going to come here, and we are going to bring in the same stuff. Alright, let's see if we can copy all of this, but we can't. So I'm going to copy this one by one so that we don't go taking them all over again. Alright, now I'm going to go back, select this. Alright, come back here, this right in here as well, and then for the last one, I'm going to go select this. Alright, so you can select by simply control C, control V. Alright, so control C, okay, and then control V, and then you can have it right there. So you have these three. Alright, now I'll do a little bit of changes with them, but I just want to have all of them in there. So alright, so let me just come here once again. Oh man, they all look the same, which is bad. So I only need one. Okay, so click on this, control C. Alright, and then control V. Alright, good. Then now this, control C, come here, control V, and I have this. Alright, so you can just fill this in right there. Now we're making some changes, so just keep in mind. Alright, I just want all of them in here so that I don't want to make the whole thing so long. Alright, so yeah, so control C. Once you've already created one, you can just control C, control V them. Alright, yeah, you can just control C, control V them, control C, and then control V. Alright, uh, this is the outcome. Why did I select that twice? So here, control C, come here, control V. Alright, now the last page, control C, and come here, so control V. All right. So Control C, say Control V. All right. So the last one, Control C. Come here. Going to say Control V. All right. So that's good. So we have all of these. Okay. Let's position them all. All right. So the action for this is still turned on. So this is going to be intake page. So if I'm to select, click on this, it should take me to the intake overview. All right. Okay. So for the intake, because this is still the intake overview, we can still have this. Okay, we can still have this. So what we are going to replace this with is we are going to come up here to the buttons and we are going to replace it with the back. All right. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to remove this because it's the same page, so we can't have that. All right, it's the same page, so we can have that. So now I'm going to have the outcome, the length of stay, and I'm going to have this level guy right here. Alright, and we can increase it a little bit, okay, to make it stand out. Alright, so that if I'm coming from here to here to the intake overview and I want to go back to the open, then I can simply just control hit on this, then take me back to where I'm coming from. Alright, and so that is how this works. Alright, like I said, because we're already on the intake overview page, we can represent the intake overview page with the intake overview action. Okay, alright, so now that we've done with this, we can come to outcome summary, and we know that this is for outcome summary as well. Okay, so let me go back and select this. Alright, we will come in, and then this is the outcome summary. So we can also have this in here representing the outcome summary. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this and represent this with the back icon. Okay, so we can just put that right in here, so that if I'm coming from here, all right, if I'm coming from here to here and I want to go back, I can just, and it take me back. But if I'm coming from here, and I'm coming from here all the way to here, outcome summary, I want to go back, I'll just right click on that and it take me back to here. Okay, all right, so that is that. We're done with this. And now for the loss page, LOS page, which is this. All right, so again we are going to take this out of the way, all right, and replace it with this. All right, and so yeah, voila, so we are done with the opening page, the designs for the opening page, the intake overview page, the outcome summary, and the LOS page. And that was so simple. All right, that was so simple because we already have everything prepared in PowerPoint. That was so simple. Okay, and so now that we are here, we are going to start tackling our questions. Okay, and so what is the first question? And so now the first question, all right, is to find the total number of animals brought to the shelter that year. All right. So the total number of animals. And how do we find the total number of animals? We are actually going to use count. All right, to count because we don't have like the quantities. Okay, to use some. This time around we have the, if you go in there and we check, look at the items to the table. All right, can see that we have the kennel ID, animal name, etc., but we don't have the quantity of animals. All right, we have everything like this. All right, so we are going to count them based on either the animal ID or the kennel ID, but the count doesn't really go with text, it goes with integer item. And since this is an integer column, all right, whole numbers, if you look at this is a text column. Okay, so it will be difficult to use count with animal ID. It wouldn't work, and I shall show you what I mean by that. We shall try that. All right, but in actual sense, we'll be counting based on the kernel ID. All right, because the kernel ID are unique. The items in there are unique. You don't have repetitions in the kernel ID column. All right, the kernel ID items are all unique, so we can, and they are integers, so we can use the kernel ID to find, to, in addition with the count, to find the total, animals. All right, but we can't use the animal ID. So I'm going to be showing you what I mean by that. And so once I come here, we are going to start creating our measures, and for that I'm going to come to home and I'm going to create, because I don't like creating my measures all over the place. I like to have my measures grouped, as one. I like to have my Power BI report looking really neat. Okay, so I create this measures, and I'm going to create a measure table. A measure table. Just need to organize my measures. All right. Just need to organize my measures so I know where my measures are. All right. And so it's loaded, and now my measure table is created. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click on this arrow, come here, right click on it, and I'm going to start my first measure. All right. And so like I said, let's try counting them by animals ID. All right. Total animals. So with the total animals count, animal ID, ID, right? So it's really difficult to see from here. The way I saved it, I should have saved the wall, but that's fine. Oh, please. So animal ID. So this is animal ID, and if I'm to select, I'm to enter this and choose this. Okay, wait, this. Oh, it works. All right. Okay, when I tried it, I was actually using the sum, so the sum wasn't working, but the count works. All right, so you can just use the count. As we work, we learn new things. All right, as I help you, I also learn new things, and so I'm not really bothered. But if you had still use if you had changed this to the kernel ID, we'll still be getting the same figure. So let me show you. If you had changed this to ID and then kernel ID, all right, we'll still be having the same figure. Okay, so let me just remove this, show you. Now you can see that now we are not using animal ID, we are using kernel ID. Alright, but if I'm to select this and come here, we also have the same, so it really doesn't matter, it's still the same answer. Alright, and so that is fine. So you can either count using the animal ID, or you can count using the kernel ID. That is fine. Alright, a lot of the time these projects I just take them and I start solving them. Alright, because I don't like to feel or to come across as being perfect. Okay, because that can be so intimidating to some people when it looks like someone is just easily doing it and they are unable to do it. So I just try my hands on something real quick, and then I just come in here to do it. So you realize that some of my work, as we continue to do it, I get more ideas and I inculcate those ideas into the work, and that is fine. That is how I do it. I normally like to be natural, and then to let people know that I can also make mistakes. All right, and that is what's important. So that's fine. So now that we have that, now we can just simply go in and do our formatting. All right. So now we solved our first question, the total amounts. Okay. And so let's do our formatting. What am I doing? Okay. So let's come to cars, and the cars should be fine. All right. Let's remove this, and that. Okay. Now let's go to our call out, and let's format it. All right. Now, formatting is an important aspect of Power BI. Okay, a lot of the times I've seen many people do amazing works, but because the formatting is so bad, the the project looks really bad as well. And it's not even their fault. It's just because they do not spend a lot of time formatting their visualizations properly. Okay, and so yeah, be sure to spend some time on your formatting. Okay, yeah, sure to spend some time on your formatting if you want your format to stand out. Okay, all right. So like so, looks good. And then I'm going to remove my effects. All right. So now I have that in there. So that is our first question solved. So that is, what is the total number of animals brought to the shelter this year? That is 51,000. Okay, 51,000. So we've solved that here. Now, what I wanted to also add, or what I added to this, is that I tried showing the different number of animals, okay, that were introduced into these shelters. All right. So how many cats, how many dogs, how many livestock, and all of that. So I created measures to show all of that. All right. And I'll be showing you how to create all of them. Now I've already gone through the data set, and I know there are 10 unique animals types. All right. So I know there are animal type. There are 10 unique animal types. You have the amphibian, the bird, the cat, the dog, guinea pig, livestock, other rabbit, reptile, and wild. So one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10. All right. So what I do is that I'm going to go in and create a measure for all of them so that we can have all of them just showing at the top. So when we are doing your analysis, you can know, all right, so there are actually 200 and this animals in here, there are actually 200 and this animal, 100 and this animals, or thousands, or so you can just simply take the data set and know which animals were brought in the most, all right, just at first glance. Okay, so let's go in there and let's start creating our DAX measures for that for those as well. Okay, all right. All right. So since there are 10 different animal types, we are going to get all of them. And the measure that we are going to do, I'm going to do the first one, and for the rest, we can just copy and then paste them. All right. So I'm going to say amphibian. I know we have amphibian. So amphibian. And the DAX measure I'm going to use calculate. All right. Calculate. And because we have total animals, I'm going to say calculate total animals. Filter. So filter, we're going with this. All right. And I'm going to say where the data type, where the animal type. Okay. So animal type, excuse me, animal type is equal to amphibian. All right. Close and close. Okay. So now I can copy all of this so that we don't have to write them again. Okay. So let's see for amphibian, total animal, and we have that. So this for amphibian only. All right. All right. So now the next one is going to be for wild animals. So another new measure so that you can just follow. Before I do copy, so you are going to just paste. And so since this is for wild animals, don't forget to change it to wild. You change it to wild. And we are going to come right here and change this as well to wild. Alright. And now we can close. And now we have wild. Next one is going to be for birds. So birds, I'm going to say bird, and I'm going to come right here. I'm going to say bird, and then we can just enter. And so I'm going to fast forward this and do all of the same way for all 10 of them. All right, and then once I've done, I'll come back and then we shall continue. All right. All right. So we are back again, and you can see that now I have all of my 10 animals, or my 10 animals total right over here. And so we have amphibian, the total for amphibian, the total for birds only, the total for cats, the total for dogs only, the total for guinea pigs only, livestock, other, rabbit, reptile, wild animals only. Alright. So now that we have this, now we need to present that here on top here so that anyone that takes the data set is able to know the total amphibians, the total birds, the total cats, the total dogs from the total animals right at first glance. Excuse me. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to consider this separated in two, so 5 here, 5 here. That's how I did it. Now you can decide to make it all 10, you can decide to make it anyhow you want, as long as it's a project, that is fine by me. Okay, so I'm going to select amphibian, 2 bird, cat, dogs, and I'm going to say guinea pig. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is my first 5, and I'm going to represent that using a card. Okay, so we have all of this here, and since I'm lazy, do hit on this, to format this. All right, and voila, this looks good, right? Let's show it a little bit. All right, so we have for amphibians, we have for birds, cats, dog, guinea pigs. Now we can reduce the charges a little bit, but I think this is fine. If you want to reduce a little bit, that is fine by me as well. You can do that at your end, but I think anyone that sees this should be able to tell. Okay, especially from the measures that have been provided here. Okay, all right. So now we are going to move on to the second one, which is this 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, we are representing that with a card. And we can, now that we have this, we can just go here, format pin this, and do the same for this. Okay, so we have this, like so, like so. I'll bring this in a little bit. Alright. Alright. And that's that. So now we are done with the first actual question, and we are done with these KPIs to help people understand how many cats, how many dogs, how many different animals we are taking into shelter. Alright, at first glance. Okay. So now that that is fine, let's move on to our second question in the intake dashboard session, and that is which animal types have the highest intake volume. All right. So which animal types have the highest intake volume? Now you can see right from here that the animal type have the highest intake volume is actually cats. All right. You can see that's actually cat, but manager would like us to visualize it. All right. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to come right here. So which animal type, right? So animal type, I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to come here, measure time. I'm going to select my total animals, okay? And I represented this with this. Wait, this, excuse me, okay? So now that we have this, can just bring it up here, all right? Stretch it out a little bit, bring it all the way down here. Now that we have this, we can just go ahead and format this. It's as simple as that. Nothing really big, so you can just go ahead and format this, okay? But I'd like to add the second question to it, the third question to it, excuse me. So what is the third question? The third question says, which intake conditions are most common? So we are also looking at the intake conditions, all right? So the intake conditions, we are going to come right here, and I'm going to say, all right, so for intake conditions, obviously with the total animals, all right? So total animal by intake conditions, okay? So this is the intake conditions. So we have it like this, and again we are going to present this to represent that, all right, like so. All right, so the total animals by animal type and the total animals by intake type. Okay, so now that we have this is too big. All right, so now we can just format both of them all at once. So I'm going to come here, and for my y-axis, which is this, I don't want the title. Okay, I don't want the title, so I'll take this off so that I can get enough space. All right, but I do want this, so I'm going to change this, and I'm going to make this black. All right, and then for the x-axis, I don't think I want anything for the x-axis, so I'm going to remove everything from the x-axis like so. That's how I want it. Let's move on to grid lines, see if there are any grid lines to this. I don't want any grid lines, so they are already turned off, so that is fine. And then for the bars, I want to change the colors from blue, I want to make it black for all of them, so I'm making black for my bars. All right, and then all right, so now we want some data labels. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. My data labels, I want them black, and I want them outside. So since I'm already outside, I just want to make them black, bold black. All right, and like so, and that looks good. Okay, that looks fine. So what I can now go ahead to do, I can now come here now, and then for the title, yeah, I want title. What I thought is that I'll do something about it afterwards. Alright, so my title, I want this to be black. I want to position in the middle, and yeah, so let's remove any effects. Alright, on that particular visualization, you can just turn it up to remove all effects. Alright, and voila, now we have this. And now that I have this, I can just go to format printer, select this, and I'm going to do the same for this, and that is that. So we are done with the third and the second question. Okay, all right, so you can see right here that for the animal types, cat cats are the animals that have been sheltered the most. All right, they have the highest number of cats for each shelter. All right, and then followed by dog. So cat stands at around 24,000, where dog stands at around 16,000. Then follows by birds and then others, and then we have the wild animals, rabbit, and so on and so forth. But by intake conditions, we can see that those that were actually normal, they have a normal um, condition. All right, that means they are neither injured nor hungry nor whatever. You can see they're actually in good faith. All right, the total that was taken in around 23,195, and that's the highest. All right, and then followed by underage or weight. All right, so those animals are either underage or underweight. All right, came in a close second. So these were the animals that was also taken in the highest in these shelters. All right, and then we have the injured, severely injured. All right, so those that were also severely injured, about 4,000 of them were also taken in. All right, then followed by ill severely. All right, and then like that, so on and so forth. All right, so we can present this to management. Okay, now it says which areas based on location contribute the most intakes. Okay, so that's our third question. And with this, we are going to be using what we call the map. All right, the map chart to illustrate this. Okay, but before we do that, let's try to do a few cleaning on that before we do that. Now if you come to our table view, okay, if you come to our table view, you are going to see that we have a column for latitude and longitude, and then geo point. All right, we don't actually have a column that talks about state, or that talks about you know let me see if there is a place like that. Yeah, we don't actually have a column that talks about state or region or whatever, but we have the latitude and the longitude. And of course, we can use the latitude and the longitude as long as we have that. So in order for us to use the map chart, we need to change the the category data type for this and this to its relevant data types. All right. Currently, we can see them as sum and uncategorized. If I come here as well, you can see it as sum and uncategorized. Now, if you have it like this, you won't be able to use the map chart. All right, you won't be able to use the map chart. It wouldn't work. So what you need to do right here is that you need to work on these two in order for you to be able to use your map chart. All right, to illustrate them. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say for latitude, I don't want it as sum. All right, I want it as don't summarize. Okay, don't summarize. And then for the data category type, I don't want it as uncategorized. I want it as, since it's latitude, I want it as latitude. All right, then I'll come to longitude and I'm going to do the same thing. I want this as don't categorize, don't summarize. All right, and for the uncategorized, I want it to be as longitude. Okay, and so now that I have this, now I can just go back in here and we can start using our latitude and longitude in combination with our map chart. Okay, so I'm going to come right here and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm looking for the latitude and the longitude. All right, I'm looking for the latitude and the longitude. All right, by the total animals, but you can see that even though the question is which areas contribute the most intake, so it's saying which areas contribute the most intake. And so in view of this, for the most intake, I'm going to change for all to maybe the top 10. All right, so the top 10 by total animals. All right, and now we have something like so. We have something like so. And we are going to put it right here, bring it down here. Voila, and we have this to show for it. Okay, and we can just go in there now, format this, all right, to make it look beautiful. All right, so I'm going to, since we have this, I'm going to come right to our format visual, and for the map settings, do you want this as road? Personally, I don't want it as road, but you can change it. Do you want it as area, and you get this? Do you want it as dark, and you get this? Do you want it as light, and you are going to get this? Do you want it as grayscale, and you are going to get this? All right, or do you want it as road? and you're going to get this. All right. So personally, let's see. In this case, I don't want it to be dark. I probably like the grayscale or the road, right? Just so it can match with my color. So let's see. This light. Or should we go with light? This is so hard. No, I don't want this color. Obviously, I don't want this color. So road. So I think I'll go with road for now in this particular one. All right. So road, and for the bubbles, I want to increase the bubbles a little bit, like so. All right. So that it will show. And for the bubble colors, I want to change this, and I rather want to make the bubble colors black. All right, like so. Okay. All right. So now that I have like this, now we can go turn on the category labels. Okay. Or no, the other way, turn the category labels on for this one in this particular case. And then for the title, I'm going to say top 10 animals by geolocation. All right, geolocation. Okay, and I'm going to decrease this a little bit, but I'm going to bolden this, and I'm going to make this black, like so. All right, and then we can just put this in the middle or at center. Okay, like so. And then the final thing I want to do right here is to remove any effect, okay, so that we can have something like so. So I think this looks okay, looks promising enough. All right, so this looks promising enough. So now let's move on to our final question, which is, are there seasonal patterns in intake trends? All right, so are there seasonal patterns in intake trends? And so with this, we are looking at trends. So we are looking at monthly, yearly, monthly, quarterly, so on and so forth. But if you look at the data set, all right, let's see, intake date, all right. So you have from 2017 all the way to I think 2024. Okay. So what I want to do is that in my particular case, I want to find the year. All right. I want to be able to look at the year. I want to be able to look at the month. I want to be able to look at the quarter, and I want to be able to look at the weekday. All right, so these three I want to be able to look out for. All right, so I want to know which weekday brings in the most. All right, then I can just show that. But maybe we'll take the quarter out. I don't know, depends. All right, but in this particular case, let's just add a quarter just in case. Okay, and so what I'm going to do right here now that I've done this is to create a calendar table. All right, or some people call it a dim table. Now what a calendar table does is that it helps you to notice the date that you have right in here, because sometimes the date can be a little dicey to use. It's not really advisable to use the date that is already in the data set. All right, a lot of the time it's not really advisable. So what you can do is to create a new calendar table and use that new calendar table date to do your analysis. All right, and so that's what you are going to do. So I'm going to create a new table. I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to go to new table. All right, and it's going to give me this, and I'm going to call this new table, I'm going to call it my car table. All right, my calendar table. And now what is the DAX function that I want to give to this? So I'm going to say I'm going to be using calendar. All right, and I'm going to be using main, which is the main of the date, intake date. uh, I'm going to be using intake date. All right, so main, intake date. Okay, and then max, intake date. Okay, okay. So I want the minimum intake date and the maximum. So I want to start from the minimum to the maximum intake date. So now we have this, like so, and this is that. And what we can do is now I can just come here and I can just say I want it a short date. I don't want the time and all of that. I just want a short date. So now we have our date. Okay, we have our date, and now we can just go in and find for only the year. Okay, so now I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, all right. So now I want for the year because I'm going to be using the year. So I want for the year, and the year that function is just simply here, and then our table where we want the year from is the calendar date table. All right, so like so, and we have it over here, and now I want the month. Okay, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say month. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say month. All right, and so month, like so. This is also the formula, and from the table I'm going to say calendar table date. because I'm taking it from year, not this one. Okay. All right. So month, and then again we are going to say we want for the weekday. Okay. So I'm going to say weekday, weekday, and then no, not weekday, week number. So like the week number Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like so, right? And I'm going to say calendar, table date, and then enter. All right. So week number. So where the 7 starts for Saturday, all right, and the month starts for Sunday, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now that I have this, now let's work for the quarter. Okay, the quarter, and for quarter, okay, quarter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say this Q and quarter. Okay, another table so that I can get the Q plus the quarter, the quarter. All right. If you just use quarter, it's going to give you 4 1 1 1 1 1. But if you use the Q and before the date, so it's going to give you. So this is now quarter 4, quarter 1, and so on and so forth. All right. So now that I have this, what I'm going to do is I don't like how this and this are being represented. I only added this and this so that we can sort the month and the week numbers by them. Okay. So I'm going to now come here and I'm going to say, all right, now I want month name, and I'm going to say format. I'm going to use the format. All right, go to the format, calendar table date. All right, and I'm going to say, all right, so I want month, like so. So now we have our month, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the weekday. All right, so now I'm going to say weekday, and I'm going to say format, call table, and I'm going to say weekday 1 2 3 4 because I want all of them, like so, and I have that. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is that so that if I come here, let me show you. If I come here and I'm to select, so once you can, before you create a calendar table, you need to create a relationship. All right, because it's a new table that you've added. All right, and if you add a new table apart from the measure, okay, apart from the measure that you don't have to create a relationship for, whenever you add a new table to Power BI, you need to create a relationship. Okay, as you are going to create a relationship by saying the calendar table date is equal to the intake date. All right, and now we can just create. All right, so now that our relationship have been created, now let's go back. Okay, and what I'm going to say is that so if I'm to select the month name, all right, and I select this, um, no, I want for the measures, and I select my measure. I want my total measures. I want my total measure, like so. Now you are going to see it appearing like so: May, June, July, August, April, and this is bad. All right, you don't want your date coming off like this. All right, this is bad, and so that is why we created the other columns. All right, that is why we created these two. All right, these two, so that once I come to month name, I can go and sort the month name by what, by the month, by this column. All right, so to give me, so when I'm using it, to give me from ascending to descending. When we go there, I'll let you see that. And then for weekday as well, we are going to sort by, and I'm going to sort by the week number. All right, so that it doesn't get mixed up. Okay, so now if I come right back here and I select my month name, if now I'm to select my month name, and I come down here to select my total and mouse. Okay, like so. Now you can see that it's not giving me that problem anymore. Now it's actually from January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. All right, so this is how I want it. All right, so now that we've created all of this and we have all of this, now let's go and answer the question. All right, so the question is, are there seasonal patterns in intake trends. All right, so now we are answering the question. I'm going to say now I need for the year, I need to see the trend in years, the trend in quarter, the trend in month, and the trend in weekday. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to select this year. I'm going to select here. All right, I'm going to select quarter, I'm going to select month, and I'm going to select the week. Okay, so now that I have this, now I'm going to put in my total animals. Okay, and because you'll be using this, I like you to see that. Okay, now if I'm to stretch this out, now this is not what I want. All right, this is not what I want. So what do I want? So I'm going to remove this. Okay, I'm going to remove this. All right, and then I'm going to remove the other one. So like so. So what this simply means that you need to have created a hierarchy. Now we didn't create a hierarchy, all right? We just started putting things inside, and that's not why it's not working. So for our total animals, I'm going to put it here, all right? And then for my x-axis, all right, which is so, first I'm going to start from the year. I'm going to put this here, all right? So we have 2016, 2017, 2018, so on and so forth. So now I've picked my year. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick my quarter, and I'm going to put this here to create a hierarchy, all right? So you can see it like so. And I'm going to go ahead and pick my month, and I'm going to put in my month. So I've created another hierarchy. And then I'm going to pick in my weekday, all right, and put that in here. Now I've created my weekday. But still, there's no how you want it. So once you have this, all you simply need to do is click on this, and then to click on that, to click on that, to click on that, and like so. So this is simply has given us the opportunity to draw down and then draw up. So once I have this, if I come to 2016 and I want to dig deeper, so 2016 telling us that only one animal was taken into shelter, but in 2017 7,277 were taken into shelter. If I'm to click on this, it's going to tell me that all right, so in 2017 in quarter 2, 2,443, the highest of animals were taken into shelter. And I can click on this again, it will take me to the month and tell me that June actually had the most total animals taken into shelter in that particular year and that particular quarter. All right, and I can even go deeper to check for the weekday, and I can say that all right, in this particular case, it was Thursday that brought in the most animals. Okay, and so that is drill down and drill up for you. I have an extensive video on this. You can check that out if you want. Okay, so now that we have this, all we simply need to do is to go and format this line trend or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to come here, and for my x-axis I'm going to remove the title. I don't want the title. All right, because anyone that sees it should be able to tell. All right, so we have that, and for the values I'm going to work on the values a little bit. So I have so, I have like so, like so. And I think that is that. And for the y-axis, the y-axis again, I don't want the title. All right, I don't want the title, but I don't think I want I want the values as well. I don't think I want the values, but let's just keep the values. Just why not? I mean, and then now we can have this like so. Okay. All right. So now that we are done with that, let's see for if there's any secondary y-axis, because I don't want any secondary y-axis to this. And I can see there are some gray lines, and I'm going to go there and take the gray lines off. Okay. So green lines off. The vertical green line is also off. Okay. Turn off. And then now this looks to be coming out pretty good. Okay. And we are going to give it some zoom sliders. That's fine. And for the lines that is this line, I want to change the color, make it black. All right. Or what do you think? You can also add a color of your choosing. That is fine by me. But I want it black. All right. Okay. So now that I'm done with this, still doesn't look very good. So I'm going to add some markers to this. All right. And for the markers, I'm going to add all of them black, and it should be a little big. All right. Like so. The colors look fine. We can add a shaded area if you want. Let's see how it's going to be like. Alright, I think in this case I'll add a shade area. Alright, like so. So let's find and let's add our data labels so that we can see them. Okay. All right. So data labels, and for that, the color that I want in this case, because we have some inside and some outside. Let's see if black is still going to work. Mm, all right. So black is still going to work. So we are going to use black. All right. And this looks to be coming off wall. And then for my title, I'm going to say total animals, intake by trend. All right. So like so, should be fine by me. I can bolden this and all, make this black. Okay. And we can put this in the middle. All right, to make it look good. And now I'm done with that, I'm going to come to the effects and remove my effects. And now, voila. So this looks good for our first, page. Looks kind of good. All right. So we've been able to settle and get all of the questions solved and resolved. All right. And like so, that's what you can see right here. Beautifully done. Okay. And so now we are moving on to the next set of questions, which is the outcome dashboard questions. And so if you are ready, let's get ourselves right into it. All right, so this is the page 2 of our project, and so now we are currently on the outcome summary of our project. Now to begin with, I'd like to fill this place, all right, or this one with the totals for the animals, all right, because for every particular page, I want the person that takes this particular data set or project or visualization to see the total animals that we're taking into custody or into shelter. Right? I just want them to see all the total animals, and that is why I created that space. And so you can simply just come and copy this, all right? You can just come and copy this since we already have it, and bring this here, all right? Just come and leave it here. Post it here. That is fine. So anyone that comes in here is able to see, all right? And we can now go back and take the second part of it, okay? Bring it here, and we can also put this here, okay? All right. So that is that for this, and now we are delving into the main questions for the day. So these are just additions. So the main questions for the day, okay? So it says the question one says, what are the major outcome categories or outcome types? All right. So what are the major outcome categories? And so in this particular case also, we can just say we are looking at the top 5 or top 10 or whichever one you want. All right. So the major outcome categories, all right, by the animal count. Okay. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick my total animals. All right. And then once I'm done, I'm going to come here and then I'm going to select for my outcome category, all right, or outcome type. So outcome type, let me look at the outcome. So we have the outcome type. So by outcome type, all right. And like I said, we don't want all of them because these are too many. We want the major ones, all right. So the top ones, and you can see the top ones are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the top fives, all right. So I'm going to come down here to my basic filtering, change that to top n, and I'm going to say my top 5, all right. So top 5 based on the what? Based on the total and mark counts, okay. So I'm going to pick this and drop this right here, and I'm going to apply to give me my total, my top 5 outcome types, okay. So now that I have this, now in here we can decide to go with any visualization that we want, okay. You can decide to choose any one at all. In this case, let's see if this works. No, this wouldn't work for me. I wouldn't personally want to use this, so I'll still be going with the tree map. All right, so like so. Okay, so like so. So I'm using the tree map to indicate this. All right, so now that we have this, we can simply go in there and do our formatting. Okay, so I want to format this, and I want to format this. Let's use a little bit of conditional formatting over here. All right, and see, let's go with the gradient. All right, and I'm going to say with this, now I want everything to be black. Okay, I want everything to be black, but I just want to use a little bit of conditional formatting just to give you an idea. Those of you who don't know what conditional formatting is, all right. So conditional formatting, I simply just change everything to black all at once. Okay, all right. So now that we have that, we can just go. I want my layout like this. It's fine by me. So let's go and add our data labels. And with this, come down here, make this bold, and this should be white. Okay, a little bit. That should be fine. Okay, and now we can simply go in here and say category labels as well. Let's make it, but the category labels are the names, all right, and let's increase it. So by the outcome type, you can see those with the outcome type rescue are the highest, followed by adoption, and then euthanasia, and then transfer, and then return to owner. All right. So these are the various major outcome types. All right. So the various outcome types are that one. They were rescued, they were adopted, they were I don't even know how to pronounce that. Utain, I don't know. Someone can help me in the description box below. I mean, you can't blame me. And then some were also transferred, and some were now returned to their various owners. Okay, so these are the various outcome types. All right. So now that we have that, you can just go and then you can just say top five animals. All right. Top no, what is it? Top five outcome types. Right. Outcome types by animals, or top five outcome types. You can just leave it as so, but depends on you, okay, how you want to name them. I mean, you don't have to do everything exactly the way I am doing mine. Okay, you can add your own style, do your own thing. All right, you are free to do that. Okay, all right. So now that we have that out of the way, we have the title fixed. Now we can go to effects and we can remove all effects. Okay. All right, so now we have this. I think this looks beautiful. Okay, so now let's move on to the second. But we say what percentage of animals leave the shelter alive? So they want us to find the percentage of animals that leave the shelter alive. Okay, the percentage of animals that leave the shelter. So we are going to be using a DAX formula to find this. Okay, all right. So percentage of animals that leave the shelter alive. Okay, so when the animals are brought in, how many of them live alive? Okay, all right. So we are going to come here. Okay, hold on. That leave the shelter alive. Okay, all right. So we'll come here. I think all of them live alive based on what I checked. But let's just see. Let's just see. So new measure, and I'm going to say alive on intake. Okay, so alive on intake percent. Okay, so percent. All right. So now let's go hard just a little bit. All right. So I'm going to say divide. All right. Count rows. Divide count rows. That was my door. And what is a filter? Okay. So the data set that we are looking at. So this is called data DNA challenge. So this is called the challenge. All right. And then I'm now going to say, so we are looking at the intake is alive. No. Intake is dead. Intake is, hold on. Going to say intake, all right, is dead. If you don't spell it out well, normally it gives you something wrong. Right, go to alive on intake. All right, so I'll put this right here and close this. Right, yeah. Divided by total animals, like so. Let's close this and hit. All right, so this is the measure that you are going to be using. Oh, sorry. This is supposed to be alive on intake. So alive on intake is equal to, we are going to be dividing account rows You can do it simply by just step at a time, but I think this was the most profitable. All right, so that's what I use, and so life on intake 1.0. All right, so that's 100%. So I'm going to bring this here like so. Like so. So it simply means none of the animals died. All right, none of the animals alive on intake were dead. So you can see 100%. All right, that's 100%. So now that we have this, you can just simply go in there and do some formatting. So this is just one. We are just going to move this, and I'm going to change this to black. Wait, hold on. So we have alive from intake, like so. Black. All right. Okay. And the rotation is fine. So I'm going to just come here, and for the title, I'm going to leave it as alive from intake for now, like so. Put it in the middle. I don't like how this is showing as though it's not part of the whole thing, so I'm going to go and I work on it. But before that, let me just remove all effects of this particular visualizations. All right, so I'll just go here, and for the data labels, I'm going to come here, I'm going to go to, all right, so I'm going to come here, go to values, and I'm just going to make this bold. All right, just to make it look good a little bit. It's black, and we can even increase it a little bit. All right, okay. Good. So that's done with the question 2 as well. So if you come here, you can see that the question 2, which is what percentage of animals leave the shelter alive, is also solved. So you can see that 100% of the animals that come into the shelter, they leave the shelter alive, which means these people are doing a good job bringing in animals, tending to them, and then making sure that they go on to their new owners, they are being adopted with 100% health. All right. And so that's a plus to them. All right. Okay. So now let's move on to the third question. It says, which outcome types are improving or declining? Alright, and so to find which outcome types are improving or declining, what I want to do is that I want to find which outcome types by the year, month, and weekday. Alright, so that when I take one outcome type, if it's on the rise, I can just look at the trend over the years, over the month, and over the weekdays. Alright, and those that are declining, I can look at it also by year, by month, and by weekday. How the decline and improvement is happening. Alright, and so that's how I want to solve this. So this is going to be different from this. Alright, you might think it's the same, but it's going to be different. This just shows us the top 5 outcome types by animals. But this one is going to show us the decline, all right, the decline of it by year, by month, and by weekday, all right. And so I'm going to come down here to since we are still looking at the count animals. I'm going to come here and take my total animals for now, so that I can take this out. Then I can come here. Now I'm looking at outcome, right? Outcome types. So I'm looking at outcome types, okay, but not just outcome types. So I'm going to come to my calendar table, and I'm looking at it by year, okay, by month, all right, and by weekday, all right, like so. So I can bring this down here, I can stretch this out a little bit. Yeah, I know I've stretched it out, but why is it not? Hold on, let me see what is happening. Oh, let's change it and see. All right, so now let's take it up, up to the highest. All right, and let's change this like so. So since there's so many of them, I'll just like to find just a top 10. All right, outcome type. So I just like to find just a top 10. Top 10, okay, like so. And I'm going to come down here to select my total animals, like so, because there's just so many. All right, so this is what I want, like this. and this looks good. And because we've drilled down, right, if I select this one, okay, I can see for the years, and I can see for the month as well, and I can see for the weekday as well. Okay, so that's drill down for you, drill down up for you. And like I said, I have a video on drill up and drill down. If you haven't checked that out, hey, kindly be sure to check that out. All right, to understand, because these are skills that are really, really, really important if you are doing anything data analytics. All right, and specifically using Power BI. Okay, all right. So now that we have this, we can just simply go and do a little bit of formatting. All right. So I don't want any legend, so I'm going to take that out. And for my x-axis, I like to broaden them a little bit. All right. Okay. So like so. Good. And then I don't want the title. So let me just take the title out. But for my y-axis, I just don't want anything altogether for that. Okay. For my y-axis, which is this side of this, I want to take everything out. Okay, so I'm going to come here, take this out, take this out. All right, so that I just have that. Okay, so for the data levels as well, let's see if we can add some zoom slides. I like to add some zoom slides, of course. You can add that. And then for my data levels, I like to increase the values a little bit. And I'm pretty not sure why it's all right. So the color is not what I want. All right, so this is what I want. And so we are done with this question as well. All right, and now we are moving on to the final question, which says what? How does intake condition affect outcome type? All right, and so for this, I'm going to come here. Let me look at the question again. Just how does intake condition affect outcome type? All right, so intake condition. All right, so with that, I'm going to look for my total and mouse so that I can close this. And now we are looking for the intake conditions. All right, so intake conditions and affect outcome type. Okay, all right, so outcome type, so that means the outcome type for us, we are going to do this, and I'm going to use this is going to be my visual. That cocoa hand nearly spoils my video. All right, so we can have something like this, but this is still too much, so let's reduce it a little bit. Intake condition, I'm going to say top 10. You can make it top 5. You can use everything if you have enough space. That is fine by me, and depending on what you are trying to arrive at. Okay, but in this case, I don't want to make this, yeah, so like so it's just fine. Okay, in fact, let's just make it top 5. Yeah, like so looks fine. Okay, and now once we have this, we just go ahead and do our formatting. Okay, once we have, you can just go in and do our formatting. So let me just start from here, like so, like so. Okay, so now we can format the colors, and then that is that. All right, so let's do that. All right, so now I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to colors, column colors. All right, so column colors for all of them. Now I like to make all of them, I would have preferred to make just all of them the same color, that is black. Let me see if there's an option to do that, but see, for all we should use blue, which isn't what I want. So I'm going to come here and we are going to have to take them one by one. Let me see, is there no way we can reduce the outcome as well? I mean, let's just see if that will work. Right, nah, that will not work. Okay, so for this, make it that, and then for this, so I'll be formatting. So all we need to do is change the color, so I'll be doing that off screen, and then I'll show you the final result. All right, okay, so let me do that. All right, so this is the final result after changing the colors. All right, for the columns, all right, so for the colors of the columns, I simply just went to columns, all right, and since we couldn't have chosen one color for all of them, all right, I had to go through them one by one. Okay, so all of this and then choose a color for them, and this is the result, all right, of that. Okay, so if we come to normal, you can see the intake condition, which is normal, the outcome type, adoption, and the total animals, all right, there, over there. And then for the next outcome type, euthanasia, you can see that, and so on and so forth. All right, and so this is how we answered the last question for the um, outcome summary page. All right, that's the question: how does intake condition affect the outcome type? All right, I wish I could have done that different way. I'll try my hands in a few different things so that it doesn't look this cumbersome. All right, maybe we can use let me see, scatter plot. Does scatter plot work? Let me just see something. So no, that this wouldn't work. All right, so I think the that one is fine. I think this one is fine because the scatter plot won't work. Let me see, would the true map work? Not really. So I'm pretty sure this is the best one that we can use for that particular question. If there's any other way to answer this, be sure to leave that in the description box below and I'll check it out. Alright? And so now that we are done with this, now we're moving on to the final part of today's project, which is the length of stay analysis, or analysis, excuse me. So you have the what is the average length of stay for each animal. So we are going to have to calculate the average length of stay, all right, and then use that to answer that question. But before we do that, I'd just like to fill my KPIs, all right. So before we even jump into that, okay. So let's just make this, good, all right. So we have that, and then we have this right over here, okay. It's right over here. Okay, so now let's jump in. So the first we are going to do, we are going to have to find the average length of stay, alright, and we are going to be using DAX measures to calculate that so that we can use that to continuously do our analysis, alright. So let's jump in and get that started. Okay, so in this question where we need to find the average length of stay for each animal type, then obviously we are going to have to calculate for the average length of stay like I've already stated. And to do this, we are going to come here to our new measure and we are going to say average length of stay, all right. So that's what we are looking at, okay, average length of stay. So our title is going to be average length, all right, of stay. And how do we find it? This is simply going to be average of the duration, all right, of the total duration, average of duration, okay. So like so, all right. So we'll take duration, enter, and that's going to give you the average length of stay, all right. So it says average length of stay by each animal type, all right. So we have our average length of stay now. We're going to select that and we are going to go and look for animal type, all right. We are going to go and look for animal type. Once we have this, now we can represent it with a visualization like so, all right. And now I'm just going to a little bit and stretch this down, okay. All right, so I'll leave it like that for now. Let me look at the second question. Which canals have the highest average length of stay? Right? So which canals have the highest length of stay? So canal ID. If you are looking at canal, you are looking at the canal ID because we don't have the actual canal names. Alright? Alright. So looking at the canal ID, by average length of stay. Okay. So I'll put this right in here. Okay. And for this, we can't use all the kernels because there are so many kernels. There are about 50,000 kernels. All right. So we are going to look at. So since I have the highest, we are just going to look at the 10 by the highest average length of stay. Okay. Let's apply this, and with this I'm going to use the tree map to indicate this right here. Alright, so these external IDs by the highest, by the average length of stay. So the top 10, alright. So I'm just going to say the top 10 kernel IDs with the highest average length of stay, right? Alright, so now let's look at the next one, which is going to be the next question. Which outcome type leads to the shortest length of stay? Alright, so which outcome types leads to? So outcome types, so I'm going to look for the average length of stay by the outcome type. Alright, so it's just as simple as that. Outcome type by the average length of stay, and again we are going to look at this. And so it says leads to the what? Leads to the shortest. Alright, so with that I'm simply going to come here and I'm going to be selecting top, and by instead of top now I'm changing them to bottom. Alright, so bottom 10, and then by the average length of stay. Now we are using bottom because if you read the question, it says which outcome type leads to the shortest. So this we are not looking for the height, we are looking for the shortest length of stay, and that's why by the length of stay. Alright, so that's why we are using that. Okay, so we have this right here, we have this like so. Alright, so this looks good, this looks good, this also looks great. And the final question before we wrap up everything, which geolocation holds the shortest average length of stay? So now location with the shortest average length of stay, and we are going to come right here to average length of stay. Alright, and we are looking for geolocation, so I'm going to be picking my latitude and my longitude. Alright, and I want to show that with the map. Okay, so now I can just bring this here like so. Let's stretch it out a little bit like so, and bring this down here. So with this as well, we are just going to go here, and then what was the question again? The shortest. So instead of top end, we are going to select bottom end, and I'm just going to put in maybe 10, probably, because there are so many of them. And then I'm going to apply, and that should show right here. Let's use this. Now let's use map. I'm going to find 10. Alright, so we'll be working on this, but before you go, let's just format this, and then I'll come back and work on this because there's no time. I'm not entirely sure why it's misbehaving, but that is fine. That is fine. That's why we are here. We'll work it out. Alright, okay. So like so. So we are doing the formatting. We are formatting this. Okay, so you pay attention so that you don't forget or you don't get confused. All right, okay, so like so, like so. Good, that's my door. Make it that noise. Wanted to spoil my work, but that's fine. I'm just so tired. So we are going to change the bars. We are going to make this black throughout. Okay, so that worked for us. Now for the data labels, let's add data labels, of course. And now for data labels, I'm going to make them black. That's for the values. All right, going to make them black and up a little bit, and then we are going to make this black. So this looks fine. Then now I'm going to come here, I'm going to leave the heading as it is, like so. Bring it to the middle and make this black. And this looks good. So I can just go here, format paint this, do the same for this, like so. That looks fine. And I'm format paint, and I'm going to kind of do the same for this as well. No, that's not what I want. So I'm going to format paint this and do the same for this. All right. Okay. So then it means for this we just need to change the colors for that. All right. So I'm going to come to colors. I'm going to go to conditional formatting, gradient, and I'm just going to say, all right, for lowest I want it to be black, for highest I want it to be black, and then we are okay for the colors. All right. So now we have this to deal with. And so let's jump in and let me show you how this can be done correctly. Okay, so I want to try a few things over here. I'm not sure why the shortage is not showing. So let's see if it's because of I was not getting anything for this. Nothing for this. This is weird. So it means there's actually something wrong with the question in question. How which location holds the shortest average length of stay? Alright, so why don't you just use the highest length of stay? Alright, so the top five your location with the highest, and then see if this will work. So this is working good. So this is working. So pretty much means there might probably have been something wrong with. So now let me change this to bottom again and let's see. Yeah, so there is just something wrong with the question, that particular question. So I'll go with top five. All right. So the top five by the average length of stay, all right, should be fine. Okay. So we can just use this, and that is fine. So now I can come here to my this one, format paint this on the exact same thing, and then we can just put it in here. All right. So this should have solved the question. So this is the final dashboard. All right. The final. We had a little problem with this, but that's because I think this question, the location holds the shooter's average length of stay. I'm not entirely sure why it's not showing. Maybe it might be because that particular the length of stays for this ones are just 0000000, or the length of stays cannot, or the geolocations cannot be found. All right, it could be one of them. I'm not entirely sure. However, if we are to use the average length of stay by the highest, the geolocation by the highest average length of stay, we're able to find that these ones have the average length of stay. These geolocations have the highest average length of stay, and that is perfectly fine. And so we are done with the entire project. We started from here, from the bottom. We went down to prepare our intake overview. We went to prepare our outcome summary. We went to prepare our LOS page. All right. We added some page navigations, and so like so. If I'm to click on this, now it will take me to the very intake overview page. And yeah, I do hope this video was helpful to you, and it added something to your work. All right, as someone getting ready to take up his or her Power BI, you know, to a new other level. All right, and so if this video was helpful to you, kindly be sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel so that when I upload any new video like this, you'll be the first to be notified. Don't forget, I'm hosting a live session on the 29th for our final hackathon project, and be sure to catch me there. And I'm sure when you come, you have so many questions to ask, and I'll be there to answer your questions live. All right. So yeah, do take care of yourself, and like I always say, subscribe so that you can join the Nakama, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.